Everybody, wish you guys all well. In this video, I want to talk about relapse. Now, if you're someone who struggled with any type of addiction, I don't care what it is, it's going to be expressed differently. But at the end of the day, this applies to all types of different addiction. As I often do, I like to bring up David Hawkins' scale of consciousness because I think it just really, when you just, every time I look at it, I just see something, I just see it. It just, this is the human being right here, right? And you just look at it, it's like our lower parts of us, right? What is that? It's the shame and the guilt and the apathy, the grief. These are the low frequencies of the human being, and the low, desire and fear, right? And they're associated with our lower animal, survival, sexual, primal, right? This is that lower part of us. But at the same time, we have these higher parts. We have the ability to reason, to truly love, to be at peace, higher levels of humanity. And ultimate, I think the best gift that we can give back to other people is wisdom. I don't think there's a better gift than that, because wisdom begets freedom. Freedom is what the human yearns for, how to be free. But there's a part of us that is in bondage. It's trapped, it's enslaved. It wants to do the right thing. But how come we have a world of people that don't do the right thing? Well, as I've spoken about in other videos, humility is our weapon. Humility and courage. David Hawkins, who made this chart, often speaks about the final doorway, and referring to the spiritual experience. How do what is that final doorway? Well, it's really where you decide that I'm going through this door no matter what. Pursuant of truth, what is the right thing at all costs. And the truth is, when you go towards that, well, you're going to have a lot of resistance that comes up, whether it be in other people, events in life, and you're almost unconsciously tested. But for the sake of this video, why is relapse a good thing? Well, the relapse itself is not good. Let's disclaimer here, right? I would never say, oh, that's good. Someone relapsed on drugs or alcohol or porn or whatever their vice may be. It's not something to be happy and cheering about. But the reason I made this video, relapse is a good thing, is because another way to frame it would be, let's say you got fooled, right? Somebody tricked you or somebody trolled you. But one thing is to get mad. Another thing is you got me, right? There's just a subtle shift. All right, got me. My own mind got me. I was trickable. I fell for this illusion again. I fell for this part of me that just needs to have that thing: alcohol, drugs, sex, the feeling good. And even on a social level, sacrificing truth for feeling. And we can see this 2020, 2021. It's an expression. The internal is expression outward. So when you have politicians and people lying to us out there, well, the most important thing to do is to look at the man in the mirror. Because as you become more honest and integrous, you're going to surround yourself with other people, and that ripples outward. And the more the people have the courage to expand that, don't underestimate the power of what that can do in the world. But at the same time, don't have the arrogance to think that you're going to save the world, because most of the time, people who are going to save the world end up doing it more harm. People want to push legislation and all of these the do-gooders of the world. Recently saw a podcast of someone talking about it. Um, and he really was spot on. He touched on the exact point that the people who want to save the world generally do more damage. But that's really where humility comes in, and it's the precursors to reason and integrity. Now, on the bottom here, you have survival paradigm. Well, how do we get to reason and integrity? Humility. Humility is so powerful. It is so powerful, and really, it's true. How much do you actually know? It's very small compared to what you don't know. So to act as if you know everything is, it really keeps you down there. Um, but pride says I need to appear a certain way. I must look this certain way. I must protect myself. And it actually takes courage to have humility because you're going to get laughed at, mocked at, all of that. And you be looked like a fool. Now, people will say, be fools for Christ. I believe that has in part reason why that is to be that. To be a fool for Christ is to be a fool for the truth. I'll look at you, you're an idiot. Throughout history, people, it was always a minority of people that seemed crazy, but were oftentimes very right because that it's this I don't have all the answers. I'm not a know-it-all. And it was in part why I decided when I was making this channel, which route did I want to go? I wanted to connect with people to have deep conversations, but as time went on, I said, you know what, I should share about some of my L's, my sins, because I think that as you grow, and you can see this playing out. I mean, it's not unique to me or anybody watching this. I mean, it's kind of a human quality. I mean, as you grow, um, you're opening yourself up to attack, and I think the best way that you can authentically grow is to own your weaknesses because I think one of the greatest examples, I'm not really doing the best explaining it. The best example that I can say would be like Eminem. The last scene in 8 Mile, if you haven't seen it, go look it up on YouTube. He takes all of his shit and owns it. And he leaves his enemy, who's doing the rap battle, he has no power because he's coming from a higher place. You can't hurt me. This is why I say there's no pride in you can't hurt me. I often say that's with Christ. You have to get to a place in your life, I don't care. But it's not a cold I don't care. It's I don't care because I have enough wisdom to know where I'm going, and that what I speak to everyone around me, it's it's fresh. I'm not trying to change anybody, but I believe this is the right way. I'm comfortable in my convictions. I trust my convictions. Courage in your convictions, right? Your convictions. Why do you do what you do? Because when you enter the arena of life, and this is just your life, right? Why would you relapse? How can we recontextualize this relapse, right? You relapse from porn or alcohol or whatever. Well, first of all, trying to get a feeling. You want to be free. Every single person who's done drugs, alcohol, porn, you're in that state, in that moment, you have a feeling of freedom. You're not thinking. What a great place to be. Right here in it's the thinking mind. The thinking mind will help you. You have thousands of thoughts. The 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 free mind, and it's such a small portion of us. The free mind is the trust. You trust that things will work out, that everything works out for the good. That sounds so poetic, but do you believe it? Well, that's really the core of faith. That if you're acting in truth and your convictions, you have the courage to act forthrightly, to do the right thing as you understand it, to grow in truth, and to share that with as many people as possible, that all things will work out the right way as they're supposed to. It's an act of faith. Of course, everybody has a different view of what that truth is, but that's another talk for another time. But the recontextualizing this relapse into something positive is it comes through humility and it comes through understanding. And also I would add it comes from why. I made a video why, the x-axis and the y-axis. Your why drives you. He who has a why can bear any how. So consider this, that if you've relapsed, you're in this dark place, right? Humiliation. Look at this. I'm no good. Whatever it may be. This is the negative place, right? Because what goes up comes down. When you're in this, it's the after effect. This is an opportunity to say, okay, why do I keep falling for this? Why? Have humility. Seek and ye shall find, right? Seek it. Don't beat yourself up. Recontextualize. Because what you're seeking, you want freedom. We all want freedom. Just want the voice inside to shut up, right? So you can be free. You can say whatever's on your mind. You don't care what people think not because you want to hurt people. You just want to just be able to express yourself, right? It's the best. You don't care what other people think. This is why people go out so much. They're always drinking. Why are they drinking? Liquid courage, they call it. Why? Because when you're in that state of mind, you're not thinking. The bad part is you're not thinking. So it's a false sense of freedom. And then you experience all that because it's not integrated. Your lower part is not integrated. There's nothing wrong with these things on the bottom on a certain level of consciousness. But as you grow, then they're in the right place. Then you can have a healthy sense of pride. You can have anger that's expressed from the spirit. You're not always angry all the time. It's a fear of God. It's a fear of truth because as you start to go up, you realize you actually start to fear lying. Because when you lie, you don't know what's going to happen. It may look like that because we like to trick ourselves and say that, oh, if I lie here, it'll work out. Well, yeah, on the short term, but you don't know enough. Don't lean on your own understanding. That's the whole core of that. Because if you lie, that lie ends up coming back to you. So then you have to cover up all these other lies. It's like a leak in a boat. But you don't see that until the lies play out. And that's really where this is where I think this rebirth process is because after a certain level of guilt and shame, this is why also another way of looking at it of why relapse is a good thing because you start to feel those feelings of guilt and shame. Those are telling you, that's your being telling you, which has come throughout time. Your ancestors, you have parts of you that are from your ancestors, your parents and their parents and their parents who have been through so much shit. They've experienced the same emotions that you have. You're not special in that sense. We're all the same. On this chart, we're all the same. Now, how that comes to be, we're going to have different jobs, we're going to be in different places in the world, but how it comes to play out is this is all the same right here. We all want the same thing with the select handful that have become so corrupted they're in such a warped view they don't want the same thing. But for the most, we all want the same thing. And part of it is the ability to look at these places, look at that shame and guilt, feel it, let it come up. Right? We have a society that doesn't want to look at shame and guilt, doesn't want to feel shame and guilt at all. But feel it, let it come up. Don't dwell on it. Don't milk it. Let it come up. And then use humility. Use why. Humility and why are very powerful. Well, why did I do this? Well, why do I keep chasing this? When does this happen? Become an investigator for your own consciousness. When did I slip into porn? When did I want to take that first drink? When did I want that drug? What was going on in my life? So when you're able to take all of those things and to recontextualize, because it's a very important thing. You have to recontextualize because the alternative is, oh, look at me, I failed again, I'm no good. All of that negative self-talk. Look at what's going. If oh my God, I'm such da, 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 da. It's the way. It's also connected with pride. I have to appear a certain way. I must look a certain way. Well, some of the greatest people out throughout time, yeah, they just own it. That's something that people, I think it's intuitive to us. We love someone who takes responsibility and changes. We love it. It's the greatest. There's something integral about it. Someone who studies, books can probably explain it better than me. Some of the guests I've had on are actually writers, so maybe I'll have them on again to talk about it. But this this is the opportunity. I think what is it? Joe Rogan. He has a thing where he says you're in the part of your movie. It's just really shitty. Imagine you're in a shitty part of your movie, and now's your time to turn it around. Any great movie has that crash. So this is another way of recontextualizing and say relapse is a good thing. So in the future, you get to look back at that old self and say, hey, you know what? I was here, I was here, I was here. And then you get to help people get out of that. And it doesn't go away. People think it goes away. People think, oh, that person has that. People, it's very rare that you have someone who has been truly reborn, who is truly, they believe in their convictions. They're rooted. They have roots. Many people are just pretending. And when you realize that, it's such a beautiful rebirth because seeking character over personality. What I mean by that, and I'll end on this, character is so much more powerful. Character. And in the context of this, you take character, someone of character takes, because let me tell you something, all the fear, apathy, guilt, shame, when you're in that place, you think, oh my God, humiliation, right? Oh no, if people knew who I really was, no one would like. It's a lie. It's a lie. Now, if you live there and you're always like that, sure, yes, no one is gonna like you. But think of it as a moment in time where you get to turn it, own it, because it's only in owning it. It's only in taking the negative and converting it into positive, not living it as a negative and saying the negative is a good thing, but taking the negative. This is the shit of life. It's your fertilizer, and using that because you know what, that'll humble. There's nothing more powerful. You humble yourself. You say, hey, I struggle with this, and this. And anybody at that point, if you're truly taking responsibility and moving forward with that and aiming towards these higher states, right? Loving. One of the greatest things when you're in that negative state, help other people. You know, do something nice for someone else, genuine, without expecting anything in return. You give love, you get love kind of thing, right? Oftentimes a lot of people will fall into these lower states of consciousness because of that number one at the top there, pride. I have it figured out. Trust the science. What a proud statement. Trust the science. What happens when the science is wrong? Then the narrative changes. But you can see all these things playing out there is this part of us that's being put into a corner. Proud people who are running the world are being put into a corner because as people wake up, that fear, because pride is also connected with fear, protecting that part of ourselves. That's why this bottom part is the survival paradigm. As that starts to collapse, right, the way we contextualize the ego, it's going to defend itself. It's being backed into a corner, not realizing it's not even real or it's not the realest version of us as we elevate to this next state of consciousness. But everybody who's fake, anybody who's in pride, pretending that they're humble or doing it, they will be exposed. All lies will be exposed, right? As the Bible quote talks about. And this is also the idea, I think, of repentance, confession, repentance. These are deep, integral. This is not like just, it's so religious. It's like, no, these are deeply integrous. Who do you confess to? You want to confess that this is a body of Christ, rooted in truth. So when you sin, you really want to speak with someone who has overcome their sin. They've overcome. It's like there's more, but now we have a world. It's like, oh well, if they have a degree, then it's like no, a degree doesn't constitute that. You have to know character, and ultimately, this is the scariest part. One of the scariest parts of the journey is that you have to go within yourself. The answers are within. You have to go within. As you go with it, you'll grow in this wisdom. So if you're someone who's relapsed, you have relapsed, recontextualized it, realize that you were trickable. Understand that everything that you're going for in that drug or the alcohol or that vice is an illusion. When you see it for that, you'll realize that. Don't beat yourself up. When you fall, get back up. That's the biggest thing, too. I know it's so cliche. I'm sure you've heard it many times, but you're only a loser when you stay down. You're not a loser for failing. You're not a loser for failing. You're a loser if you stay down. You say, no, I can't do it. Christ said that if you do not bring out with what's within you, what you do not bring out, what you do not bring forth will destroy you. If you bring forth what is within you, what you bring forth will save you. I might have the exact quote there, but the key point is that, and I think I made a video on that. There's two parts in that. One is it's our pain, it's our sin. We have to get that out. The best thing you do is be honest. You want good advice from people? Tell the truth. Ask for honest advice. Say, hey, I've screwed up here. These are my dark parts. Can't really do that with a lot of people. A lot of people will judge you. A lot of people will shame you. A lot of people will gossip. It's why I say you don't really have that many people in your life who you can truly trust. And as you grow in truth and trust, you become deeper. Your roots become deeper to know who you can trust based on your own. Because there's a part of us that has to die. There's these two parts. The one part wants to pull us down. The other part wants to rise up. But we don't rise up if we're faking it, if we're creating an illusion. This is why this whole idea of the nice guy is such bullshit. A good man is what we need. We need more good men. We don't need more nice guys. Nice guys are weak. They're pretending. It's pride. I don't want to be misliked. I don't want people not to like me. What a lie. It's an illusion. So the more you try to be this person to be liked, you might be liked by people, but then you're going to be let down because people at their core do not want like. They don't want to be liked. They want real people. Now, whether people realize that or not, the unconscious and the conscious are, fighting each other. Some people are just, they don't even know that they want that yet. People have to go through different chapters in life. We want real. Real is so much more important. Real looks takes you as you are. It takes you as you are, but the mission is to go up this chart. That's what to me real in a simpler senses. How do us being in this part, we have parts of guilt and shame, and how do we overcome this part? And you'll know them because they own those parts. So video went a little longer than I expected, but most of the time I kind of just wing it. I let those thoughts just flow, and just something to think about. So if you're someone who's relapsed or gone through relapse recently, understand, recontextualize, understand this is a great opportunity because you're humbled. You thought that you had it all figured out. You were forcing it. This is an opportunity to go into power. Recontextualize, saying, okay, where are the chinks in my armor here? Where was I off? Where am I being proud? Where am I angry? Where are the elements where I'm angry in my life? Feel those feelings, let them come up and let them go and take massive action. And your why, that's the other part, because your why is, well, how do I get peace? Seek and ye shall find is another way of saying that. Why? Why am I doing this? Why do I want what I want? Maybe you're someone who's been stuck in desire. People can live in this for years. People might say, I just want money. Why? Well, I want this. The deeper rooted your why is, and the more fulfilling, the more the why is based in root with God, then the more power it has, and then the less likely you are to relapse. Relapse is just chasing illusion. It's a great opportunity to say, okay, you're chasing illusion. If you relapse, you've chased illusion again. All right, you fell. Good. You should have fallen. Because now you can recontextualize. Now you can say, okay, you were living falsely in a certain sense. You were living weak because you gave into something weak. Because when you're strong, not to say you can never give into something weak, that would be a lie. But when you're not, it's like as you build that momentum, as you start getting closer to the truth, the lies don't have the same pull anymore. That you can still get, we're not infallible. We can still get pulled down. But your reason for existence is much more powerful. It's not surface level as many people is. So I hope that's helpful for you guys. Remember, you're not a loser until you fully quit. I know it's cliche, but that is the truth. So recontextualize, take the relapse as a good thing. This is your fault. You fell down. Great opportunity to look at all the things that led me to this relapse and to fix them.